Yo, what up, fam? What up, fam? This is Devon, and this is Authentic Truth. I'm coming in with my big cousin, my favorite cuzo, because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world today, especially dealing with police officers. And I know police officers personally, so I have no issues when it comes to the run-ins because I know my family because they are my family. So I want to let y'all get to know my big cousin as an officer. So when you approach an officer, because she's one of the coolest cops and she's not the only one.
Right,
so
I appreciate
So we're gonna talk to her. She's gonna give us advice about what to do when get pulled over, the pros and the cons, the do's and the don'ts. So you will be educated to know what to do, because social media have you fooled.
that. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. I appreciate you, cuz. So just to start off, I work for a local police department here in North Carolina. So a lot of what I'm going to say is based on North Carolina state laws. Cuzzo said I was going to give advice. I try not to give advice because people like to throw that in your face. I don't want that to come back on me, but I will give you some guidance and some tips on basically how to stay safe during a traffic stop. I will open it up too if Cuz wants to put my email address down or DM me on my page if you have any specific questions related to North Carolina laws. That would allow me the time to make sure I respond with accurate information. So I will take questions via DM. I just won't talk a lot about the specifics of certain laws today, if you're cool with that.
Hey, that sounds cool. Hey, that sounds cool with me because you need to know this stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I make sure I will put your email and your pages and stuff on this in the description, so they will be able to
Yeah,
get in contact
absolutely.
with you.
Absolutely.
So cuz what made you choose a career in law enforcement?
Man, it just happened. I'll be honest. I was working in retail. I have a military background, so I was just done with retail. I initially wanted to do probation, and I was like, okay, let me go to school. Let me do what I need to do. And pretty much anything law enforcement related in North Carolina starts with BLET, which is basic law enforcement training. But actually, once I got into BLET, I realized that law enforcement was so huge. Like there were so many different jobs that you could do in law enforcement. So I decided to just get my foot in the door. The first place that I felt would hire me, which was back in my hometown. And from there, it just went. Like I really didn't want to be a police officer. That was never a goal of mine in life to be a police officer. But once I got in there, I realized the benefits, lots of freedom. Um, and you get to talk to the people, man. You're just out there with society pretty much every day. And working in retail, that's not something that you can do. You know, you're kind of stuck in one spot. But policing, you're a little bit everywhere. So I enjoy that fact.
Okay, so how long have you been doing law enforcement?
Too long. It'll be 10 years this year that I've been in law enforcement.
Hey, 10 years, cuz.
I know, right? I know. I look young. I look young. 10 years. I know. I know.
So what's the best part of your job? Because I know it's pros and cons too. I know there's days, good and bad days, but what is the best part of your job?
So of course it sounds cliche, but working with the people, like I enjoy helping people because typically you're in some type of crisis if you're interacting with a police officer or you were doing something that was against the law. Either way, it's not a good time typically when you're interacting with a police officer. But that also gives us the opportunity to get to know somebody new, get to socialize, get to help people, get to provide guidance and information on things that they may not know. And just ultimately just you would like to help them have a better day because typically if they're calling, they're not having a good day. Or if we interact with them, they're not having a good day. So I can appreciate that. You know, it's something new every time I come to work. There's never been a day in 10 years that's been the same. It's always something different.
All right, because since a lot of people are getting pulled over and a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
is not taught, So you said earlier you don't want to give us the best advice. So what are some of the guidelines that we should follow when being pulled over?
Definitely good question. So I'll talk to you as a civilian. So knowing some of the things I know, I will come at you in the best, safest way as a civilian when encountering a traffic stop. So typically, if you're getting pulled over, you either did something stupid, some type of infraction, or you just didn't realize that something happened and you're getting pulled over. Other reasons why you could get pulled over is you could be, I say suspect, but I use that loosely. So an officer could be pulling you over because they're doing an investigation. They're doing an investigative stop, which means maybe your car matches a description of somebody they're looking for. Maybe you match the description, which I know that's controversial, but we can go into that later. But there's usually a reasonable suspicion why you're getting pulled over, right? So when you see those blue lights behind you, the first thing you want to do, because you're going to be nervous, you're going to be anxious, or you're going to be pissed off, either one. You're never going to be happy to see blue lights unless you're in trouble. First thing you want to do, especially in North Carolina, is find a safe place to pull over. So throw on those hazard lights and find a safe place to the right, typically to the right, to pull over. That could be a public parking lot. That could be on the side of the road, but kind of off the road. Either way, you want to pull over to a place where you're not in danger. You're not putting your car, your vehicle in a dangerous spot, and try not to put the officer in a dangerous position as well, because they're going to either walk up to your driver's side or your passenger side. On highways, if you can get off of a ramp, I will try to get off of a ramp. I wouldn't be on the highway because, people can't drive. That's one of the most dangerous places for a traffic stop. But typically, if you could pull into a convenience store parking lot, a public parking lot, that's where I would suggest.
Okay.
Same thing at night. You want to pull into
But you said, okay, especially in the back seat, because, I know I've been in the back seat sometimes, and hands on the back of the seat.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would recommend that. I get it. You're in the back seat. You don't think the officer's paying attention to you, but they are.
Yeah.
So, I ain't going to say you got to put your hands up. That's the most safety thing you can do. But don't be digging around in your pockets. Don't be digging around in the seat, especially at nighttime, because, again, the important part is we got to be able to see what's happening in the vehicle. And that's a safety thing, man. That is straight. We ain't trying to get shot out there. We're not trying to get attacked.
Right.
We don't want to get ambushed. So even if you're in the back seat, man, just chill. Don't be doing so much stuff. If you got your hands on your phone, at least we can see your hands.
Right.
If you're doing whatever, at least we can see that. But don't be reaching in places we can't see. Don't be reaching under the seat, because that's typically where, if we're going to get hurt, that's what criminals are doing. They're reaching under the seat
Right.
for weapons. They're reaching in their pockets, wherever they got that gun stowed. That's what we're looking for. So yeah, if you ain't involved in nothing and you're not, in that criminal behavior, just be still.
Be still.
That's my rule. Just like kids, man. Just be still. Stop moving. Stop moving. So that's my recommendation. But definitely the driver, we got to see the driver's hands, because they could take off, do whatever they need to do.
Right.
And that's what we're looking for. So hands up. Don't reach for your license. Don't reach for your registration. Don't do nothing until you're asked for it.
Okay.
And going more into that, when that officer, first thing they should ask for, right, is your license and registration. And then they should tell you why you're being pulled over. It shouldn't be a secret. It shouldn't be one of those trying to throw stabs at you, which some officers will, right? They'll try to play you for an idiot. That's not the professional way to do things. At the end of the day, if I'm walking up to you, let me see your license, let me see your registration. The reason I'm pulling you over for is blah, 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 blah. That's my typical practice, because there's no secret. It shouldn't be a secret why I'm pulling you over.
Right.
So wait till the officer asks you for these things. Once they do ask you for your license, registration, talk these things out, right?
Right.
Talk it out loud. Hey, officer, okay, my license is in my wallet, which is in my glove compartment.
Okay.
I'm going to reach there. If you don't have no weapons, I don't have any weapons. I'm going to reach for my license, my registration, my insurance is in my glove compartment. Speak it out loud.
Okay.
If you want to ask, is it okay if I reach for it? Go ahead and ask. Hey, officer, can I reach for it in there? Okay.
And most
Talk about
importantly, if you are carrying and you do carry, you do have to tell the officer that you do have a weapon. Correct.
right.
Okay.
So if you have a concealed to carry, a CCW, right?
Right.
That is the number one thing when you get pulled over on a traffic stop. You have to relay that information to the officer. So after they ask you for your license registration, officer, I have a concealed to carry and I have a firearm in the car.
Okay.
It is in blah, 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 or it is located. But don't touch it. Don't reach for it. Just let them know where it is. Like,
Okay.
keep your hands where they can see them. This is where my firearm is located. I have a CCW. And if you have one, typically that's going to show up on your license anyway. When we run information,
Right.
it's going to show up that you have one. But some officers may want to verify you pull your card, pull your CCW. They want to see your permit, right?
Right.
So, yeah, good. I'm glad you brought that up. Absolutely. If you got a firearm in the car and you have a CCW, let them know that first. Now, what happens if you don't have a CCW, you don't have a concealed to carry, and you got a weapon in the car? That thing needs to be in plain sight, right?
Okay.
You're not supposed to have it anyway. You're not supposed to have it concealed anyway. So concealed means that it's hidden somewhere where no one can see it. That's what I mean when I say concealed.
Okay.
That means your firearm is either in your center console, it's under your seat, it's in your glove compartment where you can't see it. That is illegal if you don't have a concealed to carry, right?
Right.
So let's say you are one of those that you just want to carry your firearm anyway. It needs to be in plain sight. So I'm not going to say pull that thing before you get pulled over, but read between the lines. If you're not supposed to have it, it needs to be out. It needs to be out in public. So that's all I'm saying. I will say that when I've had one, I don't have a conceal, but I have a badge. But either way, when I've had one, I typically put it on the dashboard before the officer gets there, but my hands are still up, right?
Right.
Typically put it on the dash, like on the dash. It's there so they can see it when they walk up, and I let them know my firearm is on the dash. It's on the dash.
Okay.
Or if you feel safer, let's say you are keeping it in between the seat, right? Because you just want to feel safe, you got your firearm. Lay that thing on the passenger seat and leave it there. Don't reach for it. Don't touch it. Right? Because at the end of the day, there are people who are just going to carry. They don't have their concealed yet. But again, North Carolina is an open carry state.
Right.
Right? So whether you have it on your side, have it wherever, as long as people can see it, that's legal. You can carry it open. You're going to have to get in your car with it. That's all I'm saying, right? It just needs to be somewhere in sight where officers can see. But never reach for it.
Okay.
Let officers know you got it. So I'm glad you said that. So once you get to the point where, you know, they're taking your license, they're taking your registration, your insurance, stay still. Just chill, you know.
Okay.
Chill out. Don't move. Let them do whatever they're investigating, whatever the case may be. If you feel like you've been pulled over wrongly, you didn't do anything, you didn't run the red light, you did stop at the stop sign, whatever, the side of the road is not the place to argue that.
Right.
Right. I know you're upset that it happened. You probably don't think it happened, or you didn't think you were going to get caught. You didn't think you were speeding. Either way, the side of the road is not the place to argue that. That's when you prolong the traffic stop, and that's when things get dangerous.
Okay.
Right? Because even as an officer, I don't want to be on the side of the road for longer than 5 minutes if I don't have to.
Right.
It's not a safe spot. It creates a lot of anxiety for everybody.
Okay.
It's dangerous. Accidents happen. People die. Officers die. It's just not a good spot to be, right?
Right.
So don't argue that on the side of the road. Take it to court because you're going to get a court day anyway. Wait for that. And if you have a complaint against that officer, I urge you to file that complaint. Go to the local police department and let it be known that you want to complain against this officer.
Okay.
All traffic stops are recorded. They should have officer should have a body cam or a dash cam, right? So all these stops are recorded.
Okay.
Also have to call them out through our communications, right?
Right.
So 911 knows that this traffic stop happened at this time with this car, this vehicle, in this location.
Right.
So if the officer's a douchebag and they don't want to give you their name, don't worry.
It's on the ticket.
It is recorded. It should be on the ticket. Sometimes you can't read that. Sometimes they got the doctor's signature like a daggone line, man. Sometimes the douchebags, and they don't want to give you their badge or their freaking name. It's cool. Don't worry about it. Go to your local police department. There's always record of a legal traffic stop.
Oh,
right. Always record of it. So you'll be able to find that.
Okay.
At the end of the day, cuzo, you just want to get home safe, right?
Right.
Everybody wants to get home safe, and we don't want no trouble.
Yeah, everybody. That includes me and you, me, the officers, everybody.
Yeah, you don't want no trouble. So talking about the traffic stop, let's say you just feel uncomfortable and you want to record it. There's nothing illegal about recording the traffic stop.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
If you want to open up Siri, I ain't gonna do it now, but hey Siri, watch it come up. Yep. Record this stop or record. Siri
One
has
moment.
Look at it. Siri has the option.
Own it.
Siri would do that. Yeah, Siri would do that. Even if you want to make a phone call, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But again, don't argue the traffic stop while you're at the traffic stop. If that person's there just so they can hear and listen to make sure you're safe, nothing wrong with that, right?
Right.
Because you always want that second person to be like, hey, man, they can hear what's happening.
Right.
So nothing wrong with it. There's nothing illegal. Just don't have, number one, you don't want that in your hands, but don't have the phone on all in the officer's face doing some craziness. Don't be on Facebook Live, IG Live, TikTok Live. Like, that's when trouble starts to happen.
Right.
Because then it looks like you're trying to start something.
Right.
But if you just want to record the whole thing, by golly, record it. The more video footage, the more people can hear what's happening, the safer you feel. And if something does go wrong, you have that evidence, right?
Right.
So, listen, I would never encourage anybody not to record or not to call. It's whatever makes you feel comfortable, but just be safe doing it and don't argue with the officer about it. Press record, put that thing on your dash, call it a day.
Facts. That don't sound too bad. That don't sound too bad. Most important thing, we be forgetting because we gotta fucking breathe.
Man, 100%.
You gotta breathe because you all your emotions going on. Mm-hmm. The officer and you realizing that you got to breathe. Take a breath, let it out. If you had to take 3 or 4, just breathe and relax.
Right. It is not. It seems like the worst thing in the world to get pulled over, especially if you're financially struggling, especially if you're in a rush to get somewhere, you just ain't got time. Or you fear for your safety. So I get it. We are all going through stuff, but at the same time, you don't know what this officer went through that day. Right. You don't know if they responded to a terrible call or a grief call where they had to, tell someone that their loved one was murdered or lost. Like, you really don't know what has happened since or before that traffic stop. Right. And you don't know what the rest of their shift looks like. So at the end of the day, everybody, like you said, everybody just needs to breathe, relax. It's not the end of the world, and there are ways in terms of handling that traffic ticket. There are things you can do. Right. Number one, go to the court date. Like, people don't realize that you can go to the court date and talk to the DA, and it can be handled probably without paying all this freaking money. Right. But if you don't go, you never know. Your infraction, whatever, can be dismissed. It has that option, but you got to go to the court date, right? You got to be able to fight for yourself, right? But at the end of the day, the traffic stop is not the place to fight. We're just doing our jobs, trying to keep the roads safe, and you're just trying to get home or wherever you're going. You're trying to get to your destination, right?
I want to speak on this, especially for us females. Mm-hmm. Okay, what about females at night? female,
Okay.
and you getting pulled over at night.
Absolutely. So again, make sure you pull over to a well-lit area, off the road if necessary, hit your hazard lights, and you can drive until you feel safe, but don't drive like 3-4 miles. Like that's going to probably cause a chase. You don't want that. Slow down, put your hazard lights on. That way the officer can acknowledge that you see them. Pull over to a well-lit area. I've seen some people call 911 to make sure that the officer they were being pulled over by is actually an officer.
Right.
There are people impersonating officers. They have blue lights on their cars. They have badges. They have firearms. They have the vest. You would never know, especially at night, whether that officer is an actual officer or not.
Right.
So yeah, I do get that. You definitely got to be careful. You can just crack your window just a little bit. It's enough to hear. Like it's not illegal to not roll your window all the way down, but enough to be able to hear. But for females, definitely, if you feel safer calling 911, you can verify that, hey, I'm on this road. I have a car behind me. Looks like an officer, has blue lights. I want to make sure that I am being pulled over.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing
wrong with that. 911 will verify that an officer is indeed pulling you over.
Okay.
Things we call out when we do a traffic stop.
Okay.
We call out our number, our sign, whatever our call number is. We call out the license plate.
Okay.
And then we call out typically our location. And we have to call our location. And we kind of describe the vehicle, and how many passengers we think there are.
Okay.
So 911 communications, they're aware that we are pulling over that person.
Right.
So yes, if a woman, female, anyway, a man feels safer calling 911 to verify that a real officer is pulling them over, please do that. Please do that. But once you get that verification, communicate with the officer, not 911, so they can get back to their jobs. So yeah, you can definitely do that.
Well, cuzo, I really appreciate you dropping gems on us.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Before we go, is there anything that you want to reiterate or you want to get across again to make sure that they understand? So it'd be like they won't understand.
Absolutely, yeah. Let me bring up this point because this happened the other day at work with a situation where, let's say, officers suspect that your vehicle has been involved in something, or there's a description of that matches you. I get that is an inconvenience for you, and that is also very scary because we can be confused for anybody. Black people in general get confused. Like we look alike. Everybody drives Hondas, everybody drives Nissans, right? I ain't gonna throw out that those are the vehicles I always use, but just understand that officers are able to make investigative stops, right?
Right.
And especially if they have reasonable suspicion, things like that. Shit happens.
Right.
So, for example, let's say something hits we have license plate readers in our town, and it matches the car description. Let's say a gray Honda. It matches the car description that we've all been warned about that was an armed robbery suspect, right?
Right.
Armed robbery suspect. Let's just throw it out there. A black male with dreads, with locks. That could be
anybody.
that could be anybody, right? So, unfortunately, that could be consequently anybody. So, if you match that description, it may not necessarily be you. It might not be you at all, but you match that description. An officer just might pull you over for an investigative stop.
Okay.
Like you said, breathe, take all the necessary steps, do what you need to do, but allow that officer to do that investigation. If you are innocent, you are innocent, right? But for us to keep people safe, we got to find that armed robbery suspect, right? We got to find that murder on the road. So we're going to do what we need to do to locate the suspect, arrest criminal. That's just common sense. That's our job.
Right.
So Consequently, if you get pulled over on an investigative stop, I know you just want to cuss, you're like, why do we get discriminated against? It's not discrimination, typically. It's not discrimination. Good cops don't discriminate.
Yeah.
Let me throw that out there. Good cops don't discriminate. But we want to get through that stop alive.
Right. Everybody.
We want to go back home to our families, right? Everybody wants to go back home to your family. So just deal with it at that point. Let officer do their investigation, answer whatever questions you need to answer to mark yourself off. I'm not the suspect. That's not me.
Right.
And then at the end, once all is said is done, if you feel like you've been discriminated against or it was racist or whatever, or, the officer was an ass, I shouldn't have got pulled over, whatever, argue that later. That's fine. You have that right to argue that you should not have been pulled over. But while on the stop, let the officer do the job, man. We marking off checkbox and we're trying to find the person.
Like you said, file a complaint. Go down.
File a complaint.
File a complaint.
Mm-hmm. If you constantly getting pulled over as a suspect, file a complaint. There's probably something wrong, but understand that you need to know your rights and your laws too. And if that's the issue, you may need to take further steps.
Right.
But get off that traffic stop safely.
Right.
Get home safely, because if you're dead, you're not filing nobody's complaint.
Right.
Nobody wants to be that person.
Fact.
After the fact. So that's the last thing I want to say about that.
Facts. Well, big facts. Big facts. Cuzo.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So other than being a cop, what do you do on your free time?
Don't you call me out like that, man. Don't call me out like
it's okay because, you one of the coolest cops. Like, if everybody know you, they know how cool you are and they won't have no problem with you. You feel me?
I try to be real with people. That's it.
So what do you do outside law enforcement?
Right. When I'm not being a cop.
When you're not being a cop.
I'm trying to be a normal individual when I'm not. So right now I got into photography, man. I try to balance out this crisis work that I do with something happy that makes people smile.
Right.
So make sure, check out 4SLT Studios. It is a full-blown business at this point. So I do photography locally. I'll travel, whatever, if you want to see the nice side of cops. I love to make people smile. So definitely I'm into that as a hobby. I started really focusing on my wellness, right?
Right.
Emotional, physical, mental, spiritual well-being. And typically I do that through One Life, One Truth. That's the platform that I work on, man. One Life, One Truth has been out since like 2018, but it really hasn't picked up until recently.
Uh-huh.
But the model behind that is to just live your life, but live it honestly.
Right.
Be true to yourself. A lot of people lie to themselves for years. I lied to myself, especially when it came to like relationships, what made me happy, things like that. My career, man, I don't know whose dream I was living, but it wasn't mine. Right.
Right.
So I definitely push a lot of just self-care and self-awareness. So I've lost some weight, man. You can't be out there being a heavy cop. I'm gonna tell that to my officers out there. Let's take care of yourself, man. You ain't chasing after nobody if you're overweight. But at the end of the day, this career is really hard on us.
Right.
So we have to do what we need to do to survive. Like, not just physically, but even mentally, emotionally. So I'm real big on that, man. So every day when I'm off, I'm off.
Right.
Like, don't call me, don't hit me up. I ain't on the clock. I ain't working. They say we're the popo on and off, which I get it as a sworn officer. I am. However,
on your days off,
I'm gonna do me on my days off. I'm relaxing. I'm chilling, watching movies, watching all the streaming sites, whatever I can catch up on.
Yeah.
Eating some good food, hanging with my partner, my family. So that's what I do.
Oh man, cuz we know, and I love you. You feel that? Yeah.
I love you too, cuz.
But I really appreciate you for taking the time to do the interview twice. First time, but I really do appreciate it, for real. And fam, I will be leaving her her One Life, One Truth,
One Life, One Truth. Yep.
her photography, her
Absolutely.
personal. I believe all her
Absolutely.
contact on the bottom in the description. So if you have any questions for her, trust and believe if she don't know it, she will find out and she will let you.
Find out.
She don't give
Absolutely.
anybody the wrong information because it's not.
Mm-mm.
So if she don't know it, she won't say. She will say, "Hey, you know what? That's a great question. I don't know this right now. Let me do some research and then I'll get back to you."
Mm-hmm.
So I do appreciate
Absolutely.
it because we need that around here because people just don't know.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
People just don't know. Oh, like I said, because I really appreciate you. I'll be dropping this soon as I can get all the edits and stuff, and I'll let you know. I'll send you the teaser so you can drop it on your page too.
Hey, I appreciate you guys, man. Listen, I look forward to other topics too, man. There's a lot that we as a community need to talk about anyway. Like as a Black community, we need to talk about.
Big facts.
And as an LGBTQ community, we need to discuss some things.
Big facts, because it's crazy because just random my girl, she's super light, but all her life people make her feel dark. I'm what? Now I just had to think about it. It's people because they're not your complexion, and it's just not a white thing. It's a us community because we do that. The lighter ones, the darker ones, and stuff like that. We just don't. Yeah, we just got to fucking figure this shit out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's some rude people out there, but if you can control you and your reactions and learn how to just your opinion doesn't matter, and what Jay-Z said, what you eat don't make me shit.
Right.
Then you keep moving, You judge me all day, but it ain't messing with my daily life. It's a mentality you got to get into, which it's more difficult for some people than others.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can definitely grow as a community and do better.
Exactly, and we can focus on our mental health. We don't focus on it until now.
Man, 100%, man.
Now,
I'll be honest, anxiety is huge,
bro. Ain't it?
Yeah, I'm 36 and starting to realize that some of the feelings I've been feeling is just anxiety. Like I'm just anxious all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nobody tells you that. You know what I'm saying? Nobody helps you navigate.
You don't want to talk about it. Yep. Yeah, but we can talk some more, man. We can catch up and
most definitely
do some different topics, man. Credit is a big one too. Now I'm not like a big person and I'm not very knowledgeable, but I know how I've started utilizing credit and learning the culture.
Okay.
And it has been like
what we can do that. We can do that. I'll do some research. I reach out to a bunch of people and we can
find somebody who knows about the credit world.
And we can just we can all come and we can all tune in and ask the most important questions.
Yeah,
because
credit is
because we didn't know about credit. Nobody taught us that.
No, let me tell you what I learned about credit. Don't do it. but it shouldn't be that way because credit is very beneficial to you if you know how to be responsible and use it right. So, we need to talk about stuff.
We will. We got each other number. We're gonna do that.
All right, cuzo.
All right, guys. Well, I really appreciate y'all tuning in, cuz I really thank you for taking the time out your busy day and just giving us facts, we really appreciate it. And
I appreciate you.
Tell your sister I said,
hey. Listen. I'll let her know. I'm about to go talk to her right now.
All right, cuz I love you and thank you again. And I'll talk to you later.
I love you too, cuz. Be safe.
All right, you too, cuz. All right. Stop.